And good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Blind Gooner, and welcome to a preview of Man United versus Arsenal. And with me this evening, I have Kevin. Kevin, how you doing, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm good, Daniel. I'm good. Just when Arsenal wins, it's always a good day, right? So it just goes on to say that yeah, as long as Arsenal win, I'm kind of delighted, kind of happy. But yeah, it's all good, man. How about yourself?
Yeah, and listen, you guys tuning in. I hope that intro thing went all right because that was the first time I've tried that. So yeah, that's proper mad because I've been doing some experimenting all day long, and I figured I found a way. So let me know if that was pretty good for those who have tuned in, because that's the first time I've done that. So yeah, like it's pretty decent. But let me know. Feedback is always good on this channel. Um,
Drop it in
so
the
yeah,
comments,
Kevin,
right?
how you feeling about the game?
Oh man, you just had to put me in the spotlight, yeah, with the game in the future. All right, Manchester United. Let's be honest, we have a very horrible record at Old Trafford. It's been 14 years since we last beat them at Old Trafford in the league, apart from the FA Cup win with Danny Welbeck's homecoming. So,
Yeah,
if the result, if we did play well, I'd be pretty much optimistic going into this game. But the issue is, after seeing how we collapsed against Leicester, I'm not dissing out Arsenal's performance against Leicester, but it goes on to show like all the shots, all the attempts, everything went down vain when Jamie Vardy was introduced to the pitch. They literally had about one or two shots on target, and boom, they take 3 points from the Emirates. So all it just takes is just that spark. And Arsenal right now, they defend well, but they can't attack. It's like one or the other. So what I'm scared is if we were to go gung ho and go and attack them, we'll be exploited at the back. And with the likes of Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, and Donny van de Beek as well coming in from the bench or somewhat, Paul Pogba if he plays. So they got really good attacking players, Manchester United. So I'm kind of nervous, of course, like all Arsenal fans. I'm kind of nervous with the performance lately. And United has been in good run of form, but let's not take anything away from United. They have been pretty solid after that 6-1 demolition against Spurs at Old Trafford. But I can't see us going into the United game very optimistic. I can only. It's going to be a tough evening for us. And if Arteta sets out his team with five at the back, it's going to be curtains for us anyway. But I just hope that Mikel Arteta picks the right team, and instead of being so defensive and conservative, I want us to go and express ourselves, just play for the fun of it, and just go on all out attack instead of defending. Making 11 players sit back is never going to improve us. I want us to go out and attack. It's been a while since we attacked. I think the last attacking display we had was against Fulham, and
yeah,
probably last night. So I want us to go in a more offensive method instead of a defensive shape.
yeah. Big up John, Simpy, Omar. Oh no, he's saying and Simpy. No, yes, Kevin tonight. You got Kevin instead of Simpy. I like to confuse you all. Big up Grant. Yeah, I confused Grant. He thought it was a pre-recorded video with the intro. Now, see, I just thought I'd try it out because I had it uploaded, and I thought let me try and work this in to try and make it look a little bit better. And yeah, I had a lot of practicing with trying to make it work. So, but yeah, I spent all afternoon trying to practice to kind of because obviously it's difficult where you guys most people would click a mouse and stuff. I use everything keyboard commands and stuff with my screen reader, so I had to kind of figure out a way I could do it. But yeah, that's the way That's the way I kind of figured it out. But yeah, hopefully that went all right with you guys. And do remember, guys, there is a banner going across your screen with all my platforms, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. So we are on all platforms tonight. So do go and check those out. And yeah, listen, yeah, this game is going to be a very, very interesting one, and we've got to win this, haven't we, Kevin? You know, we've got to win this. We've got to win this.
Yeah, I agree, Daniel. We have to win this. We have to start on the front foot. But my biggest concern is Mikel Arteta going to start this game on the front foot? Is he going to ask his players to play on the front foot? Because recently, from what I've seen from Mikel Arteta, he seems to bench up the players, those that actually play well, which is kind of baffling because the players that have the worst performance supposed to be benched instead of the players that have the best performance. Everybody keeps lagging off, like certain players that they are not performing consistently and they are not very indecisive. The reason being is because they're not being played constantly. So those are one of the reasons. Because let's be honest, football players require confidence, and if you're going to drop them after a good performance, that really, really is detrimental in their confidence. We have seen it with Alexander Lacazette, who scored 3 and 3, and he was benched in the following game when he was not even committed in international duty. Similar goes with Pepe as well. Pepe, he's more of a confidence player. If you take him out in between, he's going to be horrific in the next performance. And Lacazette is also the same. So these type of players, you have to play them constantly. And I've seen that Nicolas Pepe had a good game last night, of course, against a very average side in the likes of Dundalk. But as well, Lacazette as well, he's a big game player. So I'm sure that Mikel Arteta has to be thinking that he has to put him into the squad, because I don't want Mikel Arteta to go forward thinking and bringing Eddie Nketiah up front instead of Lacazette, or doing that ridiculous experiment which he tried against Manchester City by playing Willian in the number 9 role, false 9. So I don't want to see any of those. I want to see either Aubameyang up front, or worst come to worst, you play Lacazette, because he's a big game player. He can change the game on the foot. So I really want him to go for it instead of going for a very defensive display. I don't want us to sacrifice our attacking players just to sit back and defend and take a 0-0 draw, because we all can brag on that's progress, but I don't think so that's progress to me, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, Kevin. You know, I completely agree. We've got to go with some kind of attacking threat in this game, because let's be honest, right? We've got nothing to lose. Okay, yes, we've got to keep our defensive shape, but we've also got to create chances. And I believe we can get the balance right. I believe we've got the players to get the balance right. But yeah, we do have to go. You know, we have to go defensively and offensively. We can't just compensate one for the other. So we have to do both. Because let's be honest, Man United, I believe, are there for the taking. Yes, they've got players that can hurt us, but we've also got players that can hurt them. So we need to kind of get that balance right. We need to kind of get that balance from defense and attack. And if we can do that, I believe on paper we've got the better team than Man United, but it just depends on how Arteta sets us up and how we go into this game. Because against Man City and against Liverpool, we've been going into games and Arteta's been experimenting with the lineup, experimenting with the tactics, experimenting this, that, and every which way possible. And I don't want to see that. I don't want to see any experimenting. I just want to see a straightforward formation with players in their right positions. And yeah, I don't want to see none of this experimenting, especially not in big games. I said it after the defeat at Man City. I said, listen, if you want to experiment, go and do it in a non-important game like a Europa League group stage or a Carabao Cup. Those are the games to experiment, not in a big game against Man City or Liverpool or Man United, as it is in this case, as we are playing them on Sunday. I don't want to see none of that. So Arteta's got to get the tactics right. He's got to get the tactics right. He's got to get the formation right. He's got to get everything right for us to get a result on Sunday. And he's got to get into these players' heads. That, you know, he's got to mentally get into these players' heads as well. Because listen, we've not won a Big Six team away from home since we won at Man City back in 2015. So he's got to somehow get those players to forget that, to forget the weight of expectation, and just to go out and perform. Because the longer it goes on, the longer we don't win away from home, the longer we struggle to beat one of these big sides away from home, it's just going to weigh on our heads. The players' heads are going to get down. You know, it's going to be one of them where everyone's talking about it. But if we can get a result at Old Trafford, that's all forgotten about. And then when we do go and play a big team, say like a Chelsea on the 26th of December at Stamford Bridge, I think it is. Actually, no, I think it might be at the Emirates. But say we were to go and play a big team away from home, everyone would be looking at, oh, okay, look at you beat Man United away from home. At the moment, when we go to these away sides, these big top six away sides, everyone's just looking, oh, you haven't won since 2015 away from home against the top six side. So if we can get a result, it puts that to bed. It puts it to bed.
Yeah, totally agree, Daniel. It's time for us to just change our fates, actually, to be honest, because we have never had a big game performance. So it's time to put the records up straight, because we have seen progress, glimpse of it, but it's never been consistent. It's never been consistent. But judging from this season, I never seen any progress apart from maybe the first game, if you want to count it, Fulham as a progress. I don't think so, because what I want to see, what I don't understand is how we performed at the back end of last season, right after the resumption of the league after the COVID outbreak. We were kind of good. We were kind of good. We were stable. We were solid at the back. We were scoring goals. Of course, there was narrow wins, a bit of controversies and stuff. I want to see that same progression, but we are not seeing that progression right now. I'm not sure whether the players are not really giving their all or something. I'm not really sure about that, or maybe Arteta is maybe overthinking about the opponents too much, that he tries to implement new ideas to the players. Because let's be honest, we have been seeing players playing out of position constantly this season. Because I've seen Joe Willock, who's a central midfielder, was drifting out on the right. So it makes no sense. Willian was playing as a false nine. Yesterday we saw Kolasinac and Granit Xhaka as a centre back pairing. It makes no sense, because we never see all these experiments at the back end of last season, when we were trying to gain some momentum at the back end of last season. But why are we doing this right now? It's a new season, so why change a winning formula? That's my biggest question to Mikel Arteta.
I think it's because we got new players. So, you know, we got Gabriel, we got Partey. You know, so it was always there was always going to come a point where he would change the formation to try and suit the players that he wants in. But I don't think he has enough of the players that he wants in to try his formation yet. Therefore, it's not working. Maybe when he's got, because listen, Gabriel and Partey and Willian are probably his players. The rest of them are all from the old regime. So maybe he needs 4 or 5 more of his players to do that. But at the moment, he can't do that. And unfortunately, it's backfiring when he's trying to do that with that formation. It's just going wrong. And he can't do that. He can't experiment with this group of players like that, because there's so many weaknesses in our team, and you can't mask all our deficiencies by experimenting. You need to pick a formation that works, that gets the best out of everybody, but masks our weaknesses at the same time. And you need to stick to it. But at the moment, he's not doing that, and it's becoming a real problem because we are not getting results. And okay, yes, you could argue that we are 4 points from the top of the Premier League, and you know that anything can change. You know, a couple of good results and things will change because the Premier League is so open right now. But on the other hand, I want to start seeing consistent good performances. You know, I don't want to see none of this. One week we play well, the next week we play shit. One half we play good, the next half we play bad. I want to see 90 minutes of consistent, decent football over a consecutive period of time. So maybe like 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 games or something I want to see. And then, you know, things will have really improved.
Yeah, exactly, Daniel. That's the thing. That's the biggest question mark right now is whether, because these players, we shouldn't be just slagging off Mikel Arteta only, but it comes down. It all roots down to the manager as well, because the players have to take much responsibility on the pitch, and they have to perform at the level required by the manager. But if the players don't perform, you're not supposed to give them overgoing chances. Keep on giving them chances. That's not how the way football works. Because whenever a player plays well, you shouldn't be taking them off the squad. That's the first thing here. Let's get the basics right. If a player plays well, he keeps his spot. It's not like, no, there's no favoritism. That's the biggest issue at our club, because from what I'm seeing is all the players, Mikel Arteta is being ruthless to the young players, to the youngsters, which is kind of ridiculous, because he has to be ruthless towards the senior players, apart from Mesut Ozil. Because Mesut Ozil, I don't think so that's Mikel Arteta's call, and I don't think so as footballing reasons. It's because of the hierarchy above has really has really tied his hands up and say that no, you cannot play Mesut Ozil after this. So you just see that we got better options. But why are we bringing in Mustafi? Are you telling me that Saliba cannot put in a performance? That's before even he selected his 25-man squad. But these are the questionable things. Why are the youngsters punished, and why are all the players that are so familiar with mistakes year in year out, failed under three different managers, given chance after chance? The manager has to be ruthless towards these players that's really taking the piss out of us. So that's my only issue with Mikel Arteta. It's time for him to just be more ruthless to the players that he played with, because this manager has played with these players. And when you are a manager, you have to look at the situation differently. So if the players are not performing, you drop them, you bench them. Most of players play on confidence, and if you're going to, and in spite of having a good performance, and you throw them in the bench, that's really going to demoralize them, and it affects their performance on the pitch. So I think, because he's been ruthless with Matteo Gonduzzi, he's been ruthless with Martinelli as well. He's been ruthless with these type of players. But the let's be honest here. These players are young. They are still learning the trade of the game. So why are we ruthless towards these young players, these progressing players, instead of being ruthless to the much more senior players? There must not be any favoritism, and this is my issue with Mikel Arteta. Until he sorts that part of his managerial career, I think he, it's going to be iffy, throughout the season, because these senior players are going to down tools him, like they did with Unai Emery, like they did with Freddie Lundberg, and like they did with Arsene Wenger.
Yeah, I know what you're saying about the young players. I personally don't see the young. I don't see, what he's doing with the young players as an issue, because you've got to be careful with some of them. Players like Reece Nelson. Eddie Nketiah and Joe Willock. They kind of need to start performing now because they've been in and around the first team for quite some time, and yet they're still not performing on a consistent basis. So I kind of don't get it with the the young players. But what I will say is, you're right. He does need to start being ruthless with these experienced players. Why is Granit Xhaka consider getting in this team? Why is Granit Xhaka consistently getting in the team? Why is Bellerin constantly getting in this team? Now, the only thing with Bellerin is he does have a good game every now and again, but again, not consistent enough. It's just I sort of get it with Arteta because it's a little bit hard to kind of he hasn't got the players, the full set of players that he wants. So he's having to make tough decisions with what he's got. But there is a winning formula with this team. And like you said, we showed it last season. And, going back onto the topic of Arsenal and Man United, is that we beat them, at the Emirates. We beat them. So we can beat them. We can get a result. But obviously the fact of it being at Old Trafford and the fact that, we've not won at Old Trafford for quite some time. It's just mad. I don't get it. We need to start changing our fortunes away from home, especially against these big six sides. Because at the moment we're not consistently getting results. And, people are scared to go and play these teams away from home now. People are fearful of playing these teams at home, but we need to change our fortune. And listen, the players have to take some responsibility as well for that. The players have got to, for all we're, people getting on Arteta's back, and yes, he's the guy that picks the tactics and picks the team, but he's not responsible for what happens out there on the pitch, in a sense that, players have got to use their footballing brains, and some of these players are not using their footballing brains.
Yeah, I get what you mean, Daniel, but at the same time, I don't want Mikel Arteta to use this match as a negative approach. I want him to go all out attack. Let the players express themselves, because if you're going to force these players into defending, go on so deep instead of moving forward, sit back, absorb pressure, this is only going to put pressure, and this is going to make our defense, our midfield, everything lacking, and it's going to make us prone to mistakes. That's what I don't want. Because as much as Mikel Arteta tried to sort his defense out, not all players can defend. That's another thing. Because our players are not that hardworking. They don't seem they because you can see it from recent performances. Some of these players, they really play excellent in the first half, but in the second half they look tired, they look jaded, so they can't really push on for 90 minutes, tracking back, running back, running back. So the approach has to be much more different. If you can give them the liberty of freedom for them to move forward, express themselves, take on a few players, take on defenders, cutting inside, cutting on the left, cutting on the right, take some shots. If you give them that freedom, I think many of these players would thrive under these circumstances. Because let's be honest here, Bukayo Saka often drifts left and right because we don't know where he's playing. At times he play left wing back, at times he play left back, and then left midfielder, and then suddenly he plays as a number 10. You don't know where he plays. But whenever he plays, he drifts in, he cuts back, he's expressing himself. And it was no surprise that Bukayo Saka was one of the man of the match, had a man of the match display in the 1-0 defeat against Manchester City, because he was practically taking shots at Edison. And this is what we need from all our players, from all our offensive player. It's kind of embarrassing to see one of the kids from our academy, about 18 or 19 years old, taking shots at Edison instead of Aubameyang, Lacazette, and all these players. It's kind of demoralizing. It just goes on to show a youngster showing the senior players how to take the neck, how to take the game by the scruff of the neck. So I really hope that um, we really approach this game in a much more positive manner instead of a negative. I don't want Mikel Arteta to go on this like fearing that the worst can happen. I know Manchester United have got a good run and a good vein of form right now, but that gives us no excuse to approach this game on a negative manner. I want us to go much more direct. Have a go at them. Have a go at them. Because if you're going to go on a defensive approach, Manchester United got all the tools up front to hurt us. But if we were to go attack, their defense is not the strongest, as we all know. So if we can exploit their defensive frailties, I think we can nick this. But the issue here is going to be if Arteta is going to take that gamble to go all out attack. That's another issue right now because I think the defense is kind of like stable a little because Gabriel is, from what I've seen, he's been a rock at the back. It's too soon to judge him, but he's much more commanding. We also noticed that he was instructing Mustafi that you have to cover the side, you have to track your runner and all this. Like he's been here for years or something. You don't see Mustafi doing that to any of our younger centre backs, but this guy, he's taking the responsibility. So I think if you let Gabriel to do his thing in the defensive side of things and let the offensive players take the match by the scruff of the neck, I think we can nick this. But it's all down to Arteta's management and the tactics that he sets out his team to play.
Yeah, I agree. I just want to give a shout out to everybody watching on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter and Periscope. So big up to everybody who's tuning in. Remember, there's a banner going across the bottom of your screen, so do smash a like on the video. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you've not done so already. Do follow me on Twitter and like my Facebook page. It's all there in the banner. So yeah, it's got going across the bottom of your screens with the relevant information. So yeah, please do go and check out all the platforms. Listen, we are going to come to some of your comments very shortly, but I just want to ask you, Kevin, do you actually think, in your heart of hearts, do you actually think we can get a result at Old Trafford?
As an Arsenal fan, I'd like to think that we can get a result because it's about time for us to get a damn result because I'm sick and tired of like waiting. Every time we go to United, it seems like the same old results. I'm sick and tired of all United fans just saying like, "You come to Old Trafford, you're gonna get trash. You're gonna get trash. You're gonna get trash." It's just embarrassing because every single time, because from the time I've grown up watching Manchester United Arsenal play, every time from the invincible season all the way till now, I don't know what type of phobia we have towards this United side, but it just goes on. It's a long history. The duels was terrific back then, but it's every time that phobia at United. I don't know. We just can't get rid of it, you know. And I can say if we can get a result, if we can pull a result, I'm not talking about a draw. If we can pull a result, if we can pull a win, I think that's going to do wavelength of differences this weekend. I mean, throughout the season, because that's going to give us a confidence to move into Chelsea at Stamford Bridge or wherever we are playing. All the top six sides, or either to White Hart Lane and all these, we can really beat them. We can really beat them. The reason is we are being too negative. We are being too cautious. I don't want us to approach this cautious, but I'm kind of I'm kind of like I'm kind of divided in opinions right now because as much as I love Arsenal, with the current crop of players, I, I really I really can't see us beating United, you know. I really can't see us beating United because Lacazette has been like he's kind of like off form. I think he's loss of confidence or something. Aubameyang, ever since he signed a contract, he's been kind of like iffy. He didn't score ever since the first game he played against Fulham. So it's kind of sad. But the worst result I can predict out of this is probably a draw because I don't see us winning this game. It's going to be hard, but United also have a history of getting penalties, and so as much as it hurts me to say, I can only see a draw in this, Daniel. That's the most positive result I can take, but I'm not very confident going into this game with a win.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a tricky one. I look on it this way, and I look on it is that we've got the players to go and get a result there. We've got the players to go and win the game. But like you said, Laka's been out of form recently. Pepe's hit and miss. One day he will have a good game and score a good goal like he did yesterday, and then other days he'll just be non-existent. The same with Willian, not consistent enough. And I know we've not seen an awful lot of him, but from what I've seen, he's not consistent enough. He had that one good game at Fulham, and then he's just been non-existent for the rest of the game so far. Aubameyang, again, because he's not getting the service, again, non-existent. And then you look at the other players around him, you got Saka and, Ceballos and that. If all the players perform on a consistent basis,
we can get a result. Yeah,
definitely. Yeah, I do think we can get a result. And if they're all performing together rather than one player stands out above the rest of them, if they're all consistently performing in over 90 minutes, then yeah, I do think we can get a result. Because like I said, Man United have got weak links in their team. Yes, they've got players who can hurt us. Defensively, I'm not worried about this game. I'm not worried defensively because we are pretty decent defensively. I do like our shape. It's just we seem to be sacrificing our attacking threat to try and defend. And I sort of get that because, over the years defensively, we've been so poor. We've been more open than a Russian brothel. Do you know what I mean? So I do get it. I do get why Arteta's playing this way, but I just think he's overcompensating with the players so that they're more defensive than offensive. And I think he needs to find that balance.
He's thinking about his opponents too much. He's overthinking about his opponents. I just wish that he doesn't overthink about the opponents and just let Arsenal play the Arsenal way. Let's just go and play the basics. Let's just get the basics right. You don't have to overcomplicate things. Just do the basics right. If you do the basics right, we can get a result. But if you're going to overcomplicate things, players would be confused. Players don't know what to do, whether they have to sit back and defend, whether they have to go and attack, because they are not. Players will do what they are told to do. So if a player is given the freedom for them to go and attack, they will attack. But at the same time, you must also give the defensive shape. You must have the midfield trio or the midfield players to just cover the back line. Just be because our switching from the play from the defensive to the attacking side looks very poor right now. Because from what I've seen, the how we move from defense to attack is very slow, very timid. There's no progression. The players just seem to just pass the balls to each other. So the other day I just saw a stat that Granit Xhaka was passing to Gabriel about what 20 odd times or something in one match. I was like, why are you passing it to defensive side? You're a midfielder, so you're supposed to be giving balls on the offensive side so that our players can take the ball forward, can run at their defenders. Instead, we are doing the other way around. We are moving backwards. So it's kind of sad, Daniel, but I want Mikel Arteta to just go all out attack just for once, just for this once. If you can get that winning formula, if you just can get your players to attack, and when you can smell blood of your opponents, I think that's when the floodgates will open.
Yeah, big up Mr. Bungle in the chat. Big up Ricky in the chat as well. Big up everybody else. Tyrone's in the chat as well.
Big up Tyrone. We got
He said
Shazam.
the front three. He said the front three will have to make use of every chance that we create. Yeah, big up. I ain't even gonna try and pronounce your name, but hi. Tyrone says our defense will be easily opened with Mustafi. Yeah, Jesus. It is what it is. I don't want to see Mustafi anywhere near this team, to be quite honest. No, he's not fit. He's not ready to play, so I don't want to see him in this game.
But we got no other choice, Daniel. We don't have any other centre backs right now.
Yeah, we can just play Gabriel and play Gabriel and. Oh yeah, we have got no choice. I was trying to think of who else we could play, and I was like, oh fuck, they're all injured.
It's funny, we have about 8 defenders, 8 centre backs, and all of them are injured. And we spent about 30 odd million on a defender who's not even in the squad. Oh man, just sums up our season in a nutshell.
It's mad. It is total mad. So Kevin, having said all of that, I'm just going to ask you what your lineup would be and what you would like to see.
Oh, to be honest, Daniel, we are kind of stuck with very limited choices. So, with the players that we have right now, as much as we hate them, as much as we slate them, we take a diss at them, but we just have, it is what it is. We just have to go through that. So, I'm going probably with Leno in goal. That's the obvious one. Of course, at right back, people might say that we want to try Maitland Niles, but from the performance I've seen of Maitland Niles last night, I don't think so. He warrants a start because he was kind of poor in the game against Dundalk. So without a choice, I'd probably go with Bellerin, although he's going to be ripped apart. But it's the best we have right now. So go with Bellerin at right back. Our centre backs, that's going to be a pretty straightforward decision because we don't have any other fit ones apart from Gabriel and Mustafi. So Gabriel and Mustafi to me on centre back. On the left back, of course, it's going to be Kieran Tierney, and then on the midfield, I think the midfield is going to be an interesting one because Granit Xhaka is more towards a one-dimensional player. I don't want him to be playing with Thomas Partey because Thomas Partey look average if he's playing with Granit Xhaka. So from what I've seen of Mohamed Al Neni, of course the so-called Mohamed Al Busquets. So this guy Al Neni he does the basics right. He takes the ball, he receives the ball, he just gives it. He just passes it. He doesn't do any fancy tricks, no such thing, no skills, nothing. He just gives the basic. He just does the basics right. So that's what I want to see from a midfielder. Although it's kind of average, but that's what we want to see. We just need a player that just takes the ball, no fancy footwork, no ridiculous skills, and no tough passes. Just do the basics right. Granit Xhaka seemed to overcomplicate things. So I would want uh, Mohamed El Neni, Thomas Partey, and Danny Ceballos. So I want like Thomas Partey just covering and shielding up the defense, and probably just giving some diagonal balls towards the forward line. El Neni also forming a double pivot with Thomas Partey. Ceballos just above, threading in through balls for offensive players. And of course, the three players that I would want on either side of the wing would be Bukayo Saka on the left, Aubameyang on the middle, center forward, and on the right, I would go with Nicolas Pepe.
Yeah. Ricky, we can't play Ozil because he's not been registered. So yeah, we can't play Ozil. Tyrone predicts United to get 2 penalties and score 1. Yeah, United always get fucking penalties. They're just so jammy. when it comes to penalties. They just get more penalties than any other team. It is proper insane. It is proper mad. So yeah, my lineup is probably going to be Leno in goal, Bellerin, Mustafi, Gabriel, and Tierney. Then the three, because I think Arteta's going to do 4-3-3. So the three in midfield is going to be Partey, Xhaka, and Ceballos. I think he will use those unless he wants to try Emil Smith Rowe instead of Ceballos. He might try that, but I'm gonna go with the fact that he's probably going to play with Ceballos. And then I would like to see, and I don't know, this is probably not going to happen, but I would like to see Pepe on the left, Willian on the right, with Aubameyang down the middle. I don't want to see Lacazette in the team. Tell you what, mate, Lacazette, to be fair, is so out of form at the moment. And like I say, he scored 2 goals and then his confidence is just dipped. So although Lacazette wasn't blessed with pace when he came to the club, but you can see that he's just losing more and more pace. And, we can't really have a striker whose only qualities is holding up the ball. We've got, if he's not going to score in front of goal, and the amount of chances that guy gets and doesn't bury him, I just feel like if you put Aubameyang in the central striking role and he gets half the chances that Lacazette gets each game, 9 times out of 10, 2 or 3 of those is going in.
He will score. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. 9 times out of 10, 2 or 3 is going in, whereas Lacazette at the moment, none is going in. And we can't afford to have a striker on the pitch who's not going to take their chances. And the other thing is as well, right, I would have Martinelli in over Pepe as well. But the problem is Martinelli's not back yet. So when Martinelli does come back, I'd have him over Pepe, and I'd drop Pepe down to the bench as well, to be fair. But then, the whole of the front three, the front three that I picked, Willian on the right, Aubameyang down the centre, and Pepe on the left, they've all got to do better than what they've been doing. And again, the same with the midfield. So I picked Partey, Xhaka, and Ceballos. Although, like I said, he could use Smith Rowe instead of Ceballos. But with Partey, Xhaka, and Ceballos, those midfield do work. But I don't want to see them playing a flat 3 as we did against Leicester, where they're all just deep. Ceballos has got to be the one creating or going forward, or even Thomas Partey, because we know that Partey can carry the ball. He's not just a defensive midfielder; he can play box to box as well. So, don't really want to see it. I don't really want to see all of those midfielders just sitting in deep. One of them has got to be the linchpin between defense and attack.
Yeah, I agree, Daniel. I agree. This is the problem with Arsenal, I suppose, because it's all down to the midfield battle. It's how we contain the offensive players of United. Because if we can nullify their threat, we have a chance. But if we don't, we are going to be overrun. We are going to get a spanking if we don't defend well. And it's going to be down. It's going to be down to the to the midfield pivot that we play. So I'm really hoping that Rashford has have an off day, but big up Rashford, man. This guy has been really doing bits, on the pitch and off the pitch as well. Although it's not football related, but you gotta applaud his effort,
Yeah.
for taking on the government in what he's doing and stuff like this, Yeah.
Big up football with Brownie. Said he's off to a strip bar because he's pissed off. Yeah, good luck with that, mate. Enjoy those tits in your face. Do you know what I mean? Jesus Christ.
Get in, son.
Yeah, enjoy those tits, Brownie. Enjoy those tits, mate. Tyrone predicts Ceballos will make 360 turns.
A fidget spinner.
Ricky says, Izzy, if he was eligible, would you play him? And Arteta should put himself in there instead of Xhaka. um, so in terms of Özil, and I've spoken about this before, I don't want Özil anywhere near the team, to be honest. That guy is had his time at Arsenal and he's finished. So if he was eligible, no, I probably wouldn't play him. And Kevin, I'm assuming you're probably going to say the same, right?
Nah, I'm not into the social debate, man. His career's done. His career's done. His career's done. It's game over. Arteta doesn't rate him. I'm just sick and tired of this political debate and footballing reason statement. No, his journey is done. It's off. It's gone. Thanks for the memory, Ozil, but it's time to go. Please just leave the club, man. You're as much as
Yeah,
people keep on saying about the creativity, we got a lot of players over there. Because if you notice, Ozil seems to slow down our play. Our play right now is much more slower. And if you bring him in, he's going to make it into a bloody tortoise space or something. It's going to be even more slower. Our players wouldn't even get past the halfway line if Ozil plays. So I don't want him to play anymore. He's really,
the only
he's off his
thing,
peak.
like, I don't want him to play, but there's a question mark. So I was just sat here thinking, and it's just a throwaway thought. It might be, and I'm not going back on everything I said about Özil, but I just sitting here thinking last night, after I finished my stream with Simpy, and I was dissecting the game, and I was thinking we do lack creativity, and I was thinking now we got Thomas Partey who can do the defensive side of things and do the bits that Özil can't do. I just sit wondering what they would be like together. Partey, um, Ceballos, and Özil playing. I just wonder. I would, I would be inclined to obviously he can't because he's not eligible, but maybe in January just register him and not renew his contract. I don't want his contract to be renewed, but just play him till the end of the season and then see how it goes. Because the way I look at it, and I know I've said I don't want him anywhere near the club, and I stand by that. But I was also thinking that we've not got any other option right now in terms of creativity, and we're paying the guy 350 grand a week to do nothing. Um, and I was just sat there thinking that okay, maybe if it was just a case of using him just to get us through this season and then bin him off until we can go and get a maybe Hossim Awar. And if it works out, then great, it works out. You can just terminate his contract at the end of the season and go, there you go. Sorry, when his contract runs out at the end of the season, you go, there you go, we're not renewing it. So we haven't really got anything to lose. But I don't think Arteta will. I don't think Arteta will play him. But I was just sat there thinking that maybe be interesting to see that kind of that kind of thought process. But yeah, I don't want him anywhere near the club. But I was just it's just an idea that I had maybe
Yeah, I get that, man.
that just come to me because we've got no creativity in our team. Our midfield is dead. Tyrone says 39-year-old Zlatan is way better than Lacazette.
I agree.
Yeah, I
with
agree.
that.
I agree. That Zlatan man, he's just a mean machine. Do you know what I mean? Still at 39 years old, he's banging in the goals. He's just
You imagine if he plays for
mad.
Arsenal. At this age, if he
Um,
plays at Arsenal, he'd probably really rip into our club, man. Seriously, he'd rip into the players with the performance they've been putting in, week out.
yeah. If you're going to play Laka as a striker, you've got to do it with Aubameyang, like when Emery first came in, he played Aubameyang and Lacazette as a striking pair together, says Grant. Yeah, I just think Lacazette's not good enough for this club anymore.
Yeah,
I
but
just
Grant makes a very good point, Daniel, because if you notice that Lacazette got his first Player of the Season award under Emery, that was when Aubameyang and Lacazette played as a front two. Unai Emery tried them as a front two, and that's when he was very effective. But ever since then, he's been like playing up on the center forward role, and Aubameyang has drifted to the left. So I think that they really can't contemplate to each other. So I think that really kind of like deterred him, and that really kind of like disrupted his confidence or something, much more of his finishing attributes and stuff like this. So I'd really be intrigued to see if Mikel Arteta would choose to play them as a front two, because if they play as a pair, I think we can pose much more threat, especially with because the other players would automatically be in the supporting midfield role, and that would give much more freedom to the front two. So yeah, I think that's worth a shot, and that's a good point made by Grant a couple of minutes ago.
yeah. Omar's going for a 2-1 Man United win. Nice to see your positivity lasted long, Omar. um, Ty Tyrone said only Atletico is a big team. They play 4-4-2, and they struggle to score goals. Yeah, but Atletico are defensively sound, and I get your point about they struggle to score goals. Um, but yeah, listen, I don't know, like, um, uh, party with Ceballos and Özil equals Fred, Pereira, and Lingard.
You gotta put in Scott
Pereira and
McTominay
Lingard.
there.
Uh, Ricky says this is about Özil. He said, "I get his career's done, but his ball playing is second to none." Yeah, but we don't see enough of it. That's the thing, and that's what Arsenal fans have criticised him for. That we don't see enough of it, and we don't see enough of his qualities. Um, I want to ask you as well, Kevin, because
Yeah.
I want to know where you stand on this, because I tell you what, last night on the football terrace was absolutely
Oh,
crazy, mate. It was absolutely fucking crazy. The beef that went down on the football terrace, and the bloody with Igal, Lee Gunner, and Sonny, and yeah, that was proper mad. Where do you
yeah, I saw
stand?
that.
Where do you stand on Arteta? So do you actually think Arteta is the right man to take us forward? Which essentially was the question of on the football terrace last night's stream, but it just descended into an episode of Jeremy Kyle, because you got flaming Sonny and Igal. Listen, those guys, yeah, they're just the less said about them two, the better. They just cause trouble everywhere they go. But going back to the original question that was posed on that stream before it descended into chaos, do you think Arteta is the right man for the job, and do you think it's too early to start calling for his head, so to
At
speak?
first, yeah, at first, Daniel, I was kind of optimistic about Mikel Arteta. I was kind of optimistic from what I've seen from the back end of last season up until the cup final, and we winning the cup final and taking our chances in the Charity Shield as well. Up until then, I was like thinking, okay, this guy maybe is the real deal right now that we are talking about. But after the resumption of this season, and when this is a new season right now, of course, so the cup and every matches has been sorted, done and dusted. So in the beginning of this season, I haven't seen any much of progress. Yes, we can argue about that. We have new players, they have to settle down, so the formations, the tactics might differ and stuff. But at the same time, we must question, like, where why has our basics gone from bad to worse? Why? Yeah, we are defending better, but same goes at the back end of last season. We were defending better, but this goes on to show like um, we are not really attacking much. We are not really attacking much because I remember with Mikel Arteta, Aubameyang was scoring goals left, right, and center. And that's why many fans were calling him to be played out in the center, in the central. I mean, the center forward role. Because if how can an Aubameyang that scored about what 10 goals or something like that in the last resumption of the league or something, he scored quite a number of goals and he was playing on the left wing. And how can um, that Aubameyang just turn into like after signing the contract just become so quiet, just scoring 1 goal in what 5 appearances or something? This is probably one of his worst run in an Arsenal shirt. So there's something seriously wrong from what I've seen at the start of this season up until now, because we weren't playing like this. And if this trend is going to continue up until Christmas, it's sad to say because I don't wish any manager to be sacked. I want to give them time. I want to give them chances, opportunities, so that they grab on, they can grow with the team, so that the players don't feel like they have to like adapt to a new tactic, new system, or something. I would want the manager to do well. I never wish ill to any managers, but for us to have that belief, we need to see a proper structure. I was seeing the proper structure at the back end of last season. In the current season, I'm not seeing the proper structure. It's kind of baffling because you are seeing players that plays out in position, and there's many questionable decisions that Mikel Arteta is making this season compared to last season. So on the flip side of things, I would give Mikel Arteta up until Christmas because um, if things improve by Christmas, yes, I'm probably going to give him another chance so that I want to see the progress that he makes. But if this performance level never seem to increase and just keeps dropping as the day goes by, I think I think I'll have to jump on the Arteta out bandwagon, unfortunately. But you, he's still learning on the job. I get that, but he should be knowing his best 11 at most, at best right now. He should be knowing his best 11. That's unexcusable because he should be knowing that any manager should get the basics right. And if you don't have the fundamentals right, I don't think so you can make it as a manager. So this is my take on Mikel Arteta. To me, he's supposed to be given until Christmas to see on his performance. But if the performance doesn't improve, he has to go. But if the performance is improving, I would say, yeah, he deserves a chance.
Yeah. See, I'm of the opinion that we've got to give him until the end of the season, and if he doesn't hit our targets, then it's got to be reviewed. But I'm also of the opinion that we do have to give him time because he's only got three of the players that he wants. He hasn't got a full squad. You know, most of this squad is still from previous regimes. And the problem you have with constantly changing the manager is that we're going to keep getting so far and then keep going back to square one. Because, you know, if we get a new manager that comes in, say we give Arteta another transfer window and then we sack him because things don't work out, we're going to have another manager coming in, and then the whole thing starts again because he's going to want to get his own players in, and then he's going to want to. So I sort of think that we have to. There comes to a point where we have to go. Do you know what? We've got to bite the bullet with this manager and give him time. Because at the moment he's not. You know, we've got to give him time because at the moment you keep changing managers, it's just going to be the end result. You know, it's just going to be the same end result because, you know, they're going to keep trying to get their own players in, and we're just going to end up with this never-ending cycle. So I do think we have to give him time. And there's still time for us to hit our targets. There's still time for that. There's still time for us to get our targets. Anyway, Kevin, I want to ask you score predictions for Sunday.
Daniel, my heart is saying that we'll win 1-0, but my mind is saying like, oh man, I'm just having a look at Manchester United's midfielders. I think the battle is going to be won in the midfield area, because as much as we can say Marshall is missing the game, but Rashford has been doing bits. But I think the midfield, I don't think so. Thomas Partey can contain Bruno Fernandes, Donny van de Beek, Paul Pogba, and all these players. I don't think so. He can manhandle all three players at once. So I think I'm going, unfortunately, Daniel. Not very often I go against Arsenal, but I think United would probably beat us by 3-1, I suppose. And it's going to be in typical fashion. There's going to be a penalty involved as well.
I'm going for a 2-1 Arsenal win. I do think we'll get. Yeah. I do think we'll get something. And let me tell you why I think we'll get something. Because we've performed badly consistently over against Leicester, against Man City, and then obviously against Liverpool beforehand, and so we've not performed great. And there's just something in the back of my head that's kind of saying that we could get a result here. Providing the tactics and everything we discussed, providing all those are all right, and Arteta gets it right, I do think that we could get something out of this game. I really do. I do think we can hurt.
Optimism.
I do think we can hurt that, and I know it's Old Trafford, but I just do think we can get a result there. I really do. We have to understand as well. There's no fans there, so you're not going to get the intimidation of Old Trafford. It's going to be a completely different ball game, and I do think we could get a result.
The reason I'm going for an Arsenal defeat, Daniel, is maybe I've predicted too much of an Arsenal win that every time we end up getting disappointed. So I want to try, a different mindset of a game right now. So maybe if I say Arsenal will lose, and that's when they surprise me and get a win. So yeah, I'm going for a United win this time. Maybe Arsenal can surprise me and prove me wrong.
Yeah, hopefully. Anyway, guys, we've reached the end of the show. We've reached the end of the show. Thanks to everybody for tuning in. Listen, it's been great as always. Remember, do keep liking, do keep subscribing, do keep smashing all the relevant buttons, the share button, and stick a massive thumbs up on all the platforms, and do check out all the platforms. Like I say, the banner's going across the bottom of your screen there, so you can see all of that. Kevin, thanks very much for joining me. Do you just want to let everybody know where they can find you?
Yeah, thanks, Daniel, for having me on the stream right now. Yeah, it was great to have a long chat about United and Arsenal, the histories and stuff. Yeah, and guys, big up everybody in the chat. Of course, you guys can find me in Daniel's channel, Simpy's channel as well. Big up Simpy. So please go and check out his streams and his content as well at YouTube Simpy as well. And you can also do check out Daniel's channel. Like Daniel mentioned, share, like, and subscribe all the content. Of course, there's going to be the live watch along as well for the United Arsenal game. Do tune into that. And of course, like Daniel mentioned, you can find me at Twitter at KevinMark_434. And that's the only platform I have. And if you want to catch me as well in videos, of course, you can find me in Daniel and Simpy's channel, like I just mentioned.
Yeah, listen, thanks very much, Kevin, for coming on. Like Kevin said, guys, it's going to be a watch along for the United Arsenal game on Sunday, so do tune in for that one. I am looking at doing a Premier League watch along, a Premier League watch. I haven't picked a game yet this weekend, so I'm going to go through all the games and I'm going to pick one. So it might be tomorrow. I might be back tomorrow with a Premier League watch along, or I might be back. It might be on Sunday before. I might do two back to back on the for the Arsenal game. So yeah, just everybody stay tuned for that. And yeah, listen, thanks for joining, Kevin, and thanks to everybody who's watched. And yeah, there's only one thing left to say, and that is come on, you Gunners.
Cheers, guys.